Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcis Mwele Kombi is on an inspection tour in the North region and has expressed satisfaction at the level and quality of work on sports infrastructure in GAROUA that will play host to the 2020 Africa Cup of Nations. Over 100 entrepreneurs exhibit made in Cameroon products at the Pioneer Economic Patriotism Day organized by the Parliamentary Network for Youth Advocacy, spearheaded by Honorable Joshua Osi here in Yaoundé. Plus, the former director of the Advanced School of Mass Communication and one-time director of information at CRTV in the 90s, Professor Mark Joseph Omba, passes on this early Tuesday at the age of 72. Capture the gloomy atmosphere at his residence in this edition. Good evening and thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News in Yaoundé with me, Gladys Tata.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Welcome back. The Minister of Sports and Physical Education has expressed satisfaction at the quality of work on the main competition grounds. Professor Narcis Mwele Kombi was speaking today in the North Regional Capital, GAROUA, after an inspection tour of the different infrastructure earmarked for the AFCON 2021. Wilson Mengole reports from CRTV GAROUA.
At the Runde Adzeomi Sports Stadium, the Minister and his team inspected the main competition ground with the turf, the giant screens, and other facilities which they took note are within the norms of CAF and FIFA. Minister Narcis Mwele Kombi equally observed that the work done on the annex of the stadium and the training grounds in Rairi, Pumpumri, Senajes, and Cotton Sport is of top quality. The newly constructed 4-star hotel with 70 rooms, the rehabilitated state-owned Benue Hotel and other private structures of reputable standard are all ready to receive national and international visitors. With the realization of these projects, there are objectives that has been attained. I'm talking because we've been visiting GAROUA and the construction sites. We are satisfied with the quality of work done. The road network and the GAROUA International Airport, alongside health infrastructure related to the competition, have equally received a facelift. From all indication, GAROUA will be ready to host one of the pools of the AFCON 2021, the continent's biggest football fiesta.
The International Red Cross Committee has donated anti-COVID-19 kits to the General Delegation for National Security. The items are destined to curb the propagation of the pandemic within the police corps. The sanitary kits were handed to the Inspector General on behalf of the Delegate General Martin Bargangele by Red Cross representative Philippe Golus, as you tell us, Romeo Kenny, in the following report. Well, we shall be coming back to Romeo Kenny's report in this newscast, in the course of this newscast. And the UN resident coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Maria del Pilar, she says Cameroon, I have indication that Romeo Kenny's report is right there. And Cameroon and the globe are today observing the International Olympic Committee Day. For over a century that the organization has been existing, it has been at the epicenter of diverse sports disciplines promoting Olympic Games values. Founded by two sports lovers, Pierre de Coubertin and Demetrio Vikelas, the body has gone beyond sports virtues in recent times, stretching its roots in corporate social responsibilities. In the report that follows, Romeo Kenny explains the role of the International Olympic Committee.
Founded on June 23, 1894 by Pierre de Coubertin and Demetrio Vikelas, it's exactly 126 years that the International Olympic Committee has been existing. Within this period, the sport organization can boast of over 95 active members as of April 2019. Created to foster the development of different sport disciplines, the first Summer Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece in 1896, while the pioneer Winter Olympic Games took place in Chamonix, France in 1924. With the evolution of time, modern Olympic Games and Youth Olympic Games were introduced. They are organized every 4 years. The structure has stopped at nothing, advocating for the participation of women at all levels, encouraging national Olympic committees and international federations to ensure the presence of women in sport. It has also been involved in projects to empower young girls. As part of IOC's corporate social responsibilities, in 2009, the UN General Assembly granted the body a permanent observer status. The construction of IOC's new headquarters was accomplished in Lausanne, Switzerland in 2015. All these moves are meant to ensure good governance and promote sustainable Olympic Games values in the future.
The United Nations resident coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Maria del Pilar, says the United Nations will continue to support Cameroon's efforts towards development and peace building. She was speaking in Yaoundé this Tuesday after a farewell audience with Prime Minister Joseph John Gote. Both parties exchanged on the scope of UN interventions in Cameroon and on ways of making them more effective. Star Building correspondent Christian Che Atam with more on that story.
This is the last time Prime Minister Joseph John Gote is receiving Allegra Maria del Pilar Bayoche in her capacity as resident coordinator of the UN in Cameroon. The diplomat has been reassigned to Central America in the same capacity. This farewell audience was therefore an opportunity to revisit the cooperation ties between Cameroon and the UN.
We talked about COVID, which of course remains our priority number one, and the whole family of the UN is working alongside government on the first phase, which is epidemic control and the medical response.
The handling of humanitarian conflicts and crises was a major part of the discussions. The UN official expressed her organization's support for efforts made by the government of Cameroon so far.
We also talked about our concerns around the continued violence in the northwest, southwest, but also in the extreme north, and reiterating the UN's message for dialogue.
The UN's efforts towards peace building and development in Cameroon also came under review.
The UN has a big portfolio around peace building, and so we talked about the different initiatives that are under that, which cover human rights, which cover the follow-up to the Grand Dialogue, social cohesion, helping youth engage in society.
The Millennium Development Goals, a major part of the UN's development agenda in the country, were also discussed.
COVID has put a big brake on the progress we were making, so we agreed on how we need to really redouble our efforts to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals.
As she prepares to take office in Central America, Prime Minister Joseph John Gote has commended her work in Cameroon and presented the goodwill of the Cameroonian people.
Speaking about access to banking services, Cameroon is said to be one of the countries where a majority of the population do not have bank accounts and thus no access to financial services. Experts blame the situation on the presence of a largely informal sector, lack of financial education and banking conditions often difficult to meet. They, however, agree that there is a way out, as we hear in the following report by Clarice Ari Takang.
Barely 20%. That's how many Cameroonians have access to financial services, one of the lowest on the African continent, going by studies from national and international financial institutions. Reversing the trend is possible.
We need to reduce or erase the minimum account management fee banks and microfinances are charging on individual customers. We have to have an understanding of the banking needs of Cameroonians. We need to educate them on the importance of having access to banking. And you cannot educate people on the importance of having access to banking without understanding their needs.
Economists agree that it is crucial that challenges be addressed.
Cost of transaction is very high. Help them organize themselves into groups so that it reduces the cost of the risk and the transaction cost. And so the digital finance will be something really to promote. We have to work together to see how some of these regulations can be adjusted. If we do not have the push from the government, it will be really difficult.
Fast-growing world with evolving consumer needs for businesses and households has put pressure on financial resources. Experts say there is much to gain from this state of things.
To start is savings, then you can obtain loans and you can refinance, for example, your activities in the way that you increase the size, you increase yield, you increase your revenues.
There can be no economic growth without financial inclusion. It therefore becomes essential for providers and buyers of banking services in Cameroon to speak the same language in order to make the venture a profitable one for both, analysts hold.
The World Bank says it is committed to finance the second phase of the Cameroon-Chad electrification project to the tune of 225 billion CFA francs. This sum will contribute in the financing of 1,024 kilometers of HV transmission lines. Ewana Epole has details on the interconnection project.
The Cameroon-Chad Power Interconnection Project stems from the desire of both countries to optimize the use of their energy resources by integrating their power generation, transmission, and distribution. The World Bank has agreed to finance the second phase of the electricity project to the tune of 225 billion CFA francs. The two projects worth 385 billion CFA francs comprises of the electricity line of 560 kilometers from the Nachtigal Dam to Ngaoundéré and that of Ngaoundéré to N'Djamena in Chad. In total, about 1,024 kilometers of high-voltage transmission lines, there is 786 kilometers in Cameroon and 238 kilometers in Chad, will be constructed, and 478 localities along these lines, there is 409 of them in Cameroon and 69 in Chad, will be electrified. It is one of Central Africa's priority sub-regional integration projects. The major objective is to improve the economic and social development framework of member states of the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, through the supply of adequate quantity and quality of electricity at low cost, thus contributing to improving the living conditions of the population.
And on to this headline story, the first ever Economic Patriotism Day to promote Made in Cameroon products has been organized by the Parliamentary Network for Youth Advocacy, coordinated by Honorable Joshua Osei, presided over by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Théophile Barrot. The event, attended by a dozen government ministers, witnessed an exhibition from some 100 young entrepreneurs. Esther Kima has more.
In Cameroon, where over 1,674 billion CFA francs is spent annually on imports, consuming made in Cameroon products and promoting youth entrepreneurship are prerequisites for development. The dozen members of government in support of the Economic Patriotism Day agree that to reverse the trend, development-oriented policies must be designed for the youth to explore their full potential.
Favoring the consumption of Cameroonian products grown or processed locally is beyond the purely economic dimension, the order of social, if not humanitarian, concerns of great magnitude.
Deputy Speaker Honorable Théophile Barrot prescribed the massive production and transformation of locally manufactured goods backed by the Parliamentary Network.
Today we have a pandemic that has changed the entire way of doing business in the whole world. Each time they buy an imported product, they are financing a job in the country where it was manufactured, and each time they rather choose a Cameroonian product, they are making sure a young Cameroonian has a job producing what they're consuming.
The young entrepreneurs from the 10 regions exhibited their know-how in all sectors, including social economy and handicraft, as well as agriculture.
I produce cassava flour, we do spaghetti, we do gin.
I use pineapple to produce this wine. The percent of alcohol is 12.
With improved training and financing, local production can adequately boost wealth, grow the gross domestic product, and hasten emergence before 2035.
the wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Cameroon-British cooperation has come under review following an audience granted the British High Commissioner, His Excellency Rowan James Laxton, to the Member of Parliament for Boya Urban Constituency, Honourable Malomba Esembe. Discussions during the audience centred on how Britain can support the network of Cameroonian legislators for road safety, whose executive president is Honourable Malomba Esembe. Let's have Honourable Malomba interviewed by Gerald Nanji.
One has to be able to look for existing opportunities that can bring solutions to the needs and the aspirations of the people. For us to come towards His Excellency the High Commissioner to discuss a couple of questions which are important, and we are happy that he shares our views on these questions, especially that of promoting the Silicon Mountain Initiative in Boya and that of sensitizing road users in Cameroon. And here I was talking to him as executive president of the network of legislators for road safety in Cameroon. We are so happy that he and his team have promised to give us the best support they can.
The African Communication and Information Platform for Health and Economic Action has been officially launched this Tuesday through a virtual meeting chaired by the director of the African Center for Statistics at the Economic Commission for Africa, Olivia Chinganya. The communication platform, an initiative of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa in partnership with major mobile network operators on the continent, aims to provide users with responses and actions to mitigate and suppress the health and economic impact of COVID-19 in Africa. Yoti Kaleli Songe reports on the added value of the platform launched, which had as participants Cameroon's Minister of Post and Telecommunication, the President of Congo, and that of Guinea.
All of Africa interconnected via the Africa Information and Communication Platform for Health and Economic Action. This virtual webinar to launch the platform, an initiative of the Economic Commission for Africa in collaboration with major mobile network operators, will provide more than 600 million users across the continent with economic and health solutions to COVID-19.
This platform is very important because to fight against that pandemic, only one country cannot succeed. We need to work together. So we appreciate what has been done at the level of CEA, MTN, Orange, Airtel, to develop this African platform to fight against COVID.
It is thus a two-way information and communication technology between citizens and government. A free-to-use service available to both users of smartphones and handsets.
This will help the government to decide to make a program planification. When you have data, when you have information, you can easily decide to which sector you need to put more effort.
Other benefits include an artificial intelligence-driven system to provide users with live data collected from the social media. National authorities can, however, retain control over information provided by their own users and decide what to make public.
We move over now to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center for the latest on the COVID-19 situation in Cameroon. Gilbert is standing by with updates. Hello, Gilbert. What is new out there?
Hello, Gladys Tata. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. The figures here keep surging. We have 229 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 that were diagnosed across the national territory today, up from the 149 of yesterday. The good news is that we have 34 recoveries today, unlike the 30 of yesterday. The number of deaths are stable. 5 deaths yesterday, 5 deaths today. In concrete terms, Gladys Tata, this means that in total we have 12,270 persons who are infected or been diagnosed of the COVID-19 since the first case of the disease was diagnosed on the 6th of March this year. and we have 5,774 recoveries and 313 deaths from the COVID-19 across the national territory since the 6th of March. Our guest tonight is Dr. Eric Tandy, a public health expert working in the Ministry of Public Health. Good evening, Doc.
Yeah, good evening, Gilbert.
Now, we are talking about suspected cases. What is a suspected case? How do you consider a person to be a suspected case?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gilbert. When we talk of suspected cases, we have two types, The first one being somebody who has come in contact or whose information has been given to somebody that has been diagnosed positive. I just want to take an example. If someone is positive here, the person is able to give his close contacts after counseling and information taken from him. We should be able to track those who he had contact with, and that is those persons are considered suspected cases within a period of time, minimum 2 weeks. And the other suspected case here is those who are producing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. So these individuals, when they visit or they call the 1510 number, they are being advised to move to the nearest health facility or treatment center so that they could be actually follow up and clarify on if the situation is that of COVID or not.
Now, the government of Cameroon has adopted this 3T system, that of tracking, testing, and treating. How do you track a suspected case of COVID-19 in Cameroon? Do you use satellite?
Definitely, that is not a sense of it. Okay. Just like I explained here, that when somebody who has been diagnosed, positive, the person is able to help us to give some of his close contacts that he had. And we move now to the community to search this individual. In case, yes, that is the tracking. Okay. In case this individual did not have their phone numbers, but if he does, these phone numbers are being contacted and physical contact arrangement is negotiated or is arranged with the individual with clear information and confidentiality respected to explain to this individual why they have been called and what are the steps to take in order not to stigmatize those who are concerned. So that is simply the procedure of tracking active cases within the community.
Now, can a suspected case test negative to COVID-19?
Yeah, sure, Gilbert. Many cases have been tested negative. That is why we're encouraging the population at all times that irrespective of the fact that you've come in contact with somebody who is positive or you have signs and symptoms from COVID or any signs and symptoms that have been listed as signs of COVID-19, it can only be confirmed after a diagnosis and proper screening is done. So there is no need for you to sit behind and get worried or being stigmatized because you've not been tested, Just because of signs and symptoms, don't be worried. Just because they have declared your close neighbor being positive or a friend, it doesn't mean you are also COVID positive. Take the edge, move to one of the diagnostic centers that have been made available in almost all districts of the national territory and know your status and clear your mind and live happily.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Eric Tandy, public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health. Gladys Tata, 229 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Cameroon today, 34 recoveries and 5 deaths. The disease, COVID-19, is real. Stay safe. Over to you.
You too, Gilbert Ongene. Stay safe. And thank you very much, Dr. Eric Tandy, for always being there for CRTV and the Cameroonian population to enlighten them on the dangers of the COVID-19. The diaspora has joined in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic that is ravaging the country. Alan Concho, who is based in London, has, through his non-profit organization, Enco Capital, donated COVID protective kits to 3 hospitals in the economic capital, Douala. The material was handed to the Director General of the Douala Referral Hospital, Professor Henry Luma, for onward distribution to the other hospitals. Cynthia Etim completes that story from our CRTV Littoral Bureau.
Healthcare providers and those catering for COVID-19 patients are said to be more exposed as they give in their daily support to victims of coronavirus. It is with the aim to help protect medical corps in Douala that Alan Conchu, a Cameroonian based in London, through his organization, has donated coronavirus protective material to continue the fight against the pandemic, which figures of infected persons keep increasing by the day. The material comprised 9,000 medical face masks, 3,000 disposable face masks, 2 respiratory machines, 150 thermoflash surgical gloves, and more than 15,000 other medical equipment.
When COVID came, he felt he should do something for the people in Cameroon, and this is a donation you're seeing in excess of $200,000, or so, over 100 million of materials to help in the fight against COVID-19. This is social responsibility. Similar donation exactly the same size was given in Yaoundé.
While receiving the kits, the Director General of the Douala Referral Hospital says it is a timely gesture to help reduce the propagation of the virus.
At all the entrances in the hospital, we use thermometers. The respirators will help for patients who need more advanced treatment. Since we do not know for how long COVID will be with us, we need all of these donations.
The anti-COVID-19 kits will be distributed among the Douala Referral Hospital, the Douala Gynecobstetric Hospital, and the Douala Lakentini Hospital in the days ahead.
We take you over to the East region to talk on the 100 days which have gone by since the pioneer mayor of the city of Bertoua, Jean-Marie Dimbele Sodea, was elected into office. The mayor says due to the financial situation in which he met the structure, coupled with the outbreak of the COVID-19, his priority during this period has been dedicated to revamping revenue collection. As Tala LT reports in our East Regional Bureau, the fruits of his stay in office are palpable.
Elected at the helm of the Bertoua City Council on the 4th of March 2020, the pioneer Lord Mayor Jean-Marie Dimbele Sodea found out that the structure's coffers were almost dry and revenue collection mechanisms were slow. His main priority, therefore, was to create avenues of revenue collection and put old ones back on track. This action soon began bearing fruits as the Bertoua Modern Market, a gift from President Paul Biya to the population, which was said to be generating little or no income to the council, soon began furnishing its coffers.
We start working immediately by reorganizing and redynamizing the modern market of Colbicon. We continue putting in place street lights.
The council is today raising funds which enables it to cover its day-to-day functioning. Upon his ascension as Lord Mayor of the city of Bertoua, the French Debt Relief Program, the C2D regional capital, was carrying out some road construction projects within the city, which he has not relented effort in making sure these projects are carried out with strict respect to laid down norms.
We laid emphasis on the amelioration of the working conditions of workers.
100 days have gone by since Jean-Marie Dimbele Sodea took the baton of command at the Bertoua City Council, and his dream is to make the town comfortable and attractive to everyone.
In a related development, the city mayor of Ngaoundéré, Bobo Saliu, has described his first 100 days in office as making urban development a priority. He was speaking to our reporter Silas Nkwine for an evaluation of his term since he took oath of office over 3 months ago. Here's his report.
Work is progressing at brisk pace, with workers working round the clock, widening roads, building improved curbs, gutters and site works, like here in Onaref or in the administrative neighborhoods. And residents are beginning to feel the benefits of this huge rehabilitation plan. In less than 4 months, clogged drains have effectively been cleared and potholes filled. Ngaoundéré is finally breathing.
Every day we had a lot of problems here.
there was water overflowing into people's compounds here. But this man is a real man. I think we are happy with what he's doing.
The first 100 days of Mayor Bobo Saliu have been a roller coaster.
After the election, the clock began ticking, and our first priority here in Gaoundéré is road rehabilitation. We are making efforts to change the face of the town.
Changing the face of the town to bring about a real change for the better in the lives of the population.
Gaoundéré is a crossroads city. We are emerging. People must feel the change, just like in other towns of Cameroon.
In the last 100 days, the city mayor also took action to remove abandoned cars from the site works. He relocated fruit vendors to a new marketplace and created hundreds of jobs for Gaoundéré inhabitants.
And on today's obituary, the death has been announced of Professor Marc-Joseph Ongba, one-time director of the Advanced School of Mass Communication, who also served as director of information at the Cameroon Radio Television in the 90s. The 72-year-old professor, after retirement, later became mayor of Mbankomo, outskirts of Yaoundé. He died early today at the Yaoundé Central Hospital after a brief illness. Emmanuela Vermier captured the ambience at his residence for the 7:30 news.
Here he dwelt for the most part of his life on earth. Today, silence has filled up his home. His widow mourns his exit from this life, so too family and friends who share in the pain of losing one who in his lifetime served Cameroon in various capacities. Professor Marc-Joseph Ongba was trained as a journalist in Cameroon and France. He later served as the head of service for information at Cameroon Tribune in the early 80s, then head of department for print media at the Advanced School of Mass Communication, a post he occupied till 1989 when he was appointed sub-director in charge of information at the Ministry of Communication. Professor Ongba, after 3 years, moved to director of information at the Cameroon Radio Television. In 1993, he was appointed to head an institution that trained him, the Advanced School of Mass Communication, ASMAC, as director. He launched his political career upon retirement and became elected mayor of Mbankomo, outskirts of Yaoundé, for 5 years. The seasoned professor and fervent supporter of the CPDM is honored with Knight and Officer of the Cameroon National Orders of Valor. He today quits the scene at age 72, leaving behind a grieving wife and 5 children.
And may his soul rest in perfect peace. And on to this advertorial, authorities of the Biaka University Institute of Boya have reiterated their commitment to provide quality teaching for students at the institution. This was during a ceremony to sign a specific agreement between Biaka University Institute and the University of Boya, as you tell us, Charles Abuno, in the following report.
The specific agreement was signed within the context of the University of Boya's mentorship of BUIB. According to the terms of the agreement, the University of Boya would closely monitor and ensure the quality of some 2 bachelor degree and 36 master's degree programs which BUIB has been approved to offer.
What that means is that the quality we have here in the University of Boya is the same quality we expect them to have. And that quality expresses itself by the fact that the programs they undertake are monitored to ensure that all the elements of quality assurance are taken care of.
BUIB is bent on not just providing high standard teaching and training, but on continuously improving the quality of its offerings.
To give almost every Cameroonian a chance when coming to Biaka University to find a place and the possibility of getting the best experience as far as employability is concerned in Cameroon.
Their specific agreement has been described as a step further in strengthening the partnership between UB and BUIB.
We started attending to bachelor's degree and now we're going to postgraduate as master's degree. We have mentored us well, we have learned a lot, we have been good, and we know that there's going to be challenges ahead, but with their third collaboration, we will surmount this challenge.
It is worth noting that the University of Buea has been mentoring BUIB since the year 2009.
And that advertorial from Buea draws the curtains on this edition of the 7:30 news. Join Romeo Trisangok at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.